Red vs. Blue Season 16 Episode 8 Recovery has officially released. So let me break it down for you. Let's start with the smaller, less important part of the episode first. Griff and Huggins. In the grand scheme of things, nothing between these two has really changed. Griff still wants nothing to do with her, but he doesn't want to be stuck in the past either. In the wildest of coincidences, Tucker and Sister are also in the same time period as Griff, so Huggins is going to take Griff to them. Some information we did learn in terms of what's happening is that time travel warps weaker minds. It's why O'Malley ended up resurfacing. However, if you give in to wanting to fix your past mistakes, then you become a Shizno, an agent of Krovos, and that's where you kinda lost me. You see, up until this exact moment, Shizno was an insult. It's what aliens called humans. It was exactly how Gamma explained. It was just one of the most offensive terms to use against a human. Now, it's a thing. You become a Shizno. It's like you're enslaved to someone. So if that's the case, then it doesn't make sense. Not all humans are Shiznos, and it's not even human specific. Any being in the universe can become a Shizno. A weak-minded god can become one if they time traveled enough. It's like they took a joke that was perfectly fine just being an insult and are now trying to form a narrative around it, and they immediately fucked it up. Like, one of two things won't make sense anymore. The aliens calling the humans Shiznos doesn't make sense if the term Shizno is used to describe a specific predicament that happened to someone. So, I don't see how the story is going to dig itself out of this one. In terms of what the time travel affecting the weak mind can do to the other characters, the only one I can really picture having a similar effect to what happened to Doc is Caboose. You see, Doc has two personalities. Caboose kind of not really does. It's not a second personality, but there is that side of anger that Omega brought out that Caboose does use from time to time. So there's that scene. But let's get to the better chunk of the episode, Wash and Carolina. Finally, some grounded story. So Wash starts off by talking about his cat Loki. Basically, him and Wash have a lot in common with their inability to be killed. After running through a quick obstacle course, Wash takes a fall and we learn of his memory loss. That's really it, honestly. Dr. Gray explains that both the brain and body will heal itself, up to a certain point, so Wash's condition is completely up to chance in terms of what may happen to him in the future. Dylan Andrews also makes a reappearance this episode. She has found works of art from different moments in history, with some familiar faces in them. Now, I know I've said this before, probably every single episode yet, but this doesn't make sense. How did Dylan just now manage to find works of art and culture thousands of years old just now? It's thousands of years old and somehow no one thought to themselves, what is this? And these things never made their way through the path of Dylan until this very moment? As established with Tucker shooting Florida, history has kind of existed for a while. So these paintings and cave drawings have existed for how long, she says. So why does it seem like the reds and blues affecting the past does nothing to the people in the present? This should be their reality. They shouldn't notice that anything in history has changed, but instead these characters are aware that they're traveling through time changing things. Oh, but this is a joke. Don't take it seriously. This is directly tied to the plot of everything. It's actually upsetting how much this doesn't make sense from every perspective. Anyway, so she informs Carolina about this and prepares to send her to meet her informant. Who that may be, who knows? If Jax hadn't made an appearance in the series yet, I'd have guessed him, but aside from that, maybe like Spencer or Frank? God knows everyone could always use more Frank in their life. This is assuming that her informant is someone that we know, and Dylan doesn't actually know that many people that we as an audience are aware of as well. So Carolina as well as Wash are now heading out to meet her informant. Now, first I want to say, everything that happened with Wash and Carolina this episode was truly great. Seeing an injury now actually affect someone is a breath of fresh air. It's no longer just a scar or a physical alteration that happened. It's a mental and psychological toll that has now been placed on Wash. I'm not saying that it'll be great if Wash has lapses in his memory for the rest of his character's existence. That would get both annoying as well as unnecessarily sad every time he was on screen. But especially starting the episode out with talking about his cat and then ending the episode with telling the same story with Carolina playing along with it, It was truly just a beautiful and sad and entertaining. It was everything it was trying to do, and part of the reason I myself ended up enjoying it so much was that it was just grounded. There's no gods, there's no time travel, it doesn't need this grandiose predicament to be entertaining. And that's the most upsetting thing about the plot this season. Watching Wash and Carolina, we care for these two and their well-being, but everything else that has been happening is all about the predicament they're in, not the characters who are in them. What happened this episode with Wash and Carolina is definitely going to stand out as a great moment from the season, no matter where their story ends up taking them. Even if their story becomes annoying and not making any sense like the rest of everything, the episode's moments will be a highlight for the season. But here's the thing, despite how good the majority of this episode was, this season still continues at failing to grab my full interest. I relate a lot to Dylan. I have since the introduction of her character. She's very by the book, she needs the facts, and when the facts aren't there, like in this scenario, she's out, she doesn't want any part of it. And I actually do agree with that. If I didn't make videos and enjoy doing it, I probably would have stopped watching this season and just waited for everything to finish because of how frustrating the story is right now. You see, a story, especially one that's just begun, is obviously supposed to have more questions than answers. But the thing it's not supposed to do is withhold any of the answers. We're 8 episodes into this season and there has been no sort of answer given to us of what's going on or even what the plot is supposed to be. When a show makes you ask all the questions and never gives you any answers, it's not interesting to watch. It doesn't feel like you're piecing together the story by yourself. I've made this analogy before, but it's like everything is a puzzle. Slowly but surely, all of the pieces are supposed to come together to form a cohesive picture. But in this season's case, it's giving us all kinds of puzzle pieces that each go to a different puzzle. When one answer is seemingly given, the show does something immediately after that contradicts what it just established. The fact that it works with time travel is even more annoying because, like Dylan said, there are no facts. It's like this season attempted to make a barrier to protect itself from people saying that it doesn't make sense. 1, because it's time travel, so there are no facts, and 2, it's called a paradox, so things aren't supposed to make sense. From the get-go, it built itself a shield saying, we're allowed to not make any sense, and that's the most annoying thing ever. As each episode has gone by, it's slowly but surely been losing my interest, and I've seen comments saying things like, Red versus Blue has always been like this, it's always been this crazy. To which I say, what the fuck show have you been watching? Red vs. Blue has surprisingly made so much sense. It's actually scary how well everything fit together. When things got weird, that's usually when Halo logic could be applied, and most of the time it worked. This season, in every sense of the term, has made zero sense, and there is no logic or grounded rules when it comes to anything. Now, that's not to say that people can't enjoy the season. Of course, people are absolutely going to say how it's their favorite season, and they still just enjoy watching the show. Most people watching things just watch things to be entertained. There's no fault in that. But you can't argue that things make sense because they so clearly don't. Despite how good Wash and Carolina's bit this episode was, the season continues to lose me with every episode. But for now, that is going to do it for this video. Be sure to let me know your thoughts of the episode as well as just the season overall down in the comments below. Be sure to like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you're interested in more content like this. Consider becoming a sponsor over on Patreon, you get all the content early and it really does help out the channel. Be sure to follow me on all social medias and I'll see you in the next video.